Hours later, legs aching, sweat beading on my forehead, I finally find what I was searching for. The cenobium of the luminous void. It stands at the highest point of Iridia, surrounded by cold white walls. Well-dressed people stroll down the walkways, paying no attention to the massive tower in their midst. I'm the only one standing before the gates. I crane my neck up until the top of the cenobium tower disappears into the clouds overhead. I frown up at the gates, wondering what horrible traps they might contain. Despite their delicate beauty, there must be more to them than meets the eye. Knocking seems like a terrible idea, but I don't see any other way of making my presence known. I'm halfway up the steps when something moves in my peripheral vision. A new love interest has entered the arena, I think. A shadowy figure crouches beneath one of the white walls. They reach out and tug on a vine as if testing its strength. Oi, you there! The shadow vanishes as quickly as I spotted it, and a gaunt-faced man in a crisp charcoal uniform marches up the steps towards me. Ugh, another tourist. Get out of here once you're done gawking. A dismissive wave accompanies his equally dismissive words, and he turns on his heel without even waiting for an answer from me. I look back where I saw the intruder, but there's nothing, just the leaves blowing gently in a cool breeze. I step away from the gates, hopelessness washing over me. Hello? A whisper so close I can feel the warm brush of breath on my skin. I instinctively jerk away, but there's no one beside me. Halfway down the staircase, I spot a woman swaying in the breeze. She's gaunt as a rail, her blouse moth-eaten. I'm unable to take my eyes off her, not because of the way she smiles a little too widely, or the way her tousled braids look unbrushed for days, but because her eyes shine a vibrant, unnatural crimson. I'm both entranced and unsettled by their subtle glow. These days, you need a miracle to get in there. I'm unsure how to respond, or even if I should. I'm gonna respond sarcastically. Seems like I'm in the market for a miracle. Know anyone selling? She beams at me like I've said the greatest thing she's ever heard. Lucky for you, I have them for free. Whatever she's selling, I'm not interested. My words come out in a tired breath. No thanks. I start down the stairs, but she abruptly steps into my path. She turns her back to me, and before I can react, she slips her fingers under the lacing of her collar, stripping out of her blouse in broad daylight. What are you As warm fabric unveils bare skin, my panic is smothered by cold horror. A misshapen, sunken scar carves into the woman's body. Pitted, gnarled skin snakes down her shoulders, blooming from a gaping hole in the back of her neck. A shuddering breath escapes me. Fuck. Whatever disease this woman had ate away at her from the inside out. How is she able to move or breathe? It's impossible. She shouldn't be alive, and yet... The power to cure anything can be yours, too. The power of the sea spring. The woman slides back into her blouse and deftly laces it up. If I've caught your interest, then follow me. It's only a short walk away. Without another glance, she leisurely strolls down the cenobium stairs, loose braids bobbing behind her. The edge of her scar peeks out from under her collar. I stand there, wordless, until I manage to regain my bearings. It's a twisted miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. This could be the stupidest decision of my life, but what choice do I have? I take a final look at the cenobium's shut gates and follow her down the steps. We descend from the highest streets, leaving behind their gilded decadence as we cross the river. The wet, derelict districts feel more familiar to me. But the crimson-eyed woman takes me farther, then farther still, until I'm met with an all-too-familiar sight. My gut lurches when I face the open horizon. The city's outskirts are hardly recognizable in daylight, and probably safer for it, but venturing beyond Iridia's walls is a gamble I wasn't prepared to take so soon. Keep going straight, and the sea spring will reveal itself to you. I bark out a bitter laugh, loud and involuntary. Ip-dip-dabba-doo, which one, not you? I'd rather not. Are you kidding? It's not safe out there. You're as safe inside the city as outside of it. Truthfully, the territory before you is the safest of all. What do you mean, territory? This region belongs to Eyes. Most people know him as a gang leader, but he's much more than that. I squint against the empty wastelands. Only a fool or someone with nothing to lose would leave the city. Apparently I'm both. But if this sea spring cured her, I need to see what it can do for me. I set off into the wastes. Over my shoulder, the woman calls after me. Good luck, Valkii. I hope we meet again. I never told you my name. My heart pounds with each step I take from civilization. For what seems like an eternity, I force each foot forward. One step, then another, until the realization hits me. I never told the woman my name. Something pierces the horizon ahead of me. A building nestled into a tall cliffside, but so starkly out of place it might as well be a hallucination. It drips with extravagance and honeyed mahogany, an ornate jewel of architecture. A row of dark silhouettes stand out on the horizon. Trees, I think, until I'm close enough to realize that what I mistook for branches were spikes and jutting tendrils. Soulless. Several of them watch me in the distance like statues. I don't think, I just run. Exploding into a messy sprint, I push my legs as fast as they'll take me towards the decorated building. Flashes of last night chase me, the gushes of blood and screams of death, the smell of burning flesh or sour bile. I can't go through that again. I won't. The next thing I know, I'm dashing up wooden stairs and crashing through towering double doors. I gasp for air, my lungs burning from exertion. I'm desperate to be safe, but when I process my surroundings, it's more a hellscape than sanctuary. Blood flows all around me, overwhelming my vision with lurid, unholy red. Instinctively, my hand leaps to my mouth, but the rotten stench of blood never comes. Instead, a smoky scent hangs in the air, sharp and spiced. I swallow thickly, convincing myself that it's not as gruesome as it appears. This has to be the sea spring, the place that grants miracles. Pulling my eyes away from the pool, I take in the rest of my environment. Tall pillars flank me, blanketed in written notes. Seating pillows scatter the floor. A rustic kettle sits nearby. Someone must live here, despite how eerily empty it is. Again, I'm just gonna do a little save. I approach the paper-covered pillars. Maybe something here can tell me more. I reach for... who knows? The bottommost. I reach for a note at the lower end. It reads, "They watched me through the mirrors. They won't stop staring. They know what I did, but they won't have me. I'm safe now. I'm safe now. I'm safe now." Then a bunch of gibberish. The writing deteriorates into unintelligible scrawl. Before I can ponder it further, a sharp chill runs down my spine. Something's watching me. I think this is the poster guy for TOUCHSTARVED. I quickly set the note back. I call poster guys are the ones who are very obviously like centered in advertising, I guess. So I would say Shin from Amnesia, even though meh, am I right, guys? I'm just kidding, I like Shin. Yeah, so Shin, for example, this guy coming up, I think is like the poster guy for TOUCHSTARVED. I quickly set the note back, my eyes darting around the wooden deck, but it's still empty, vacant. He'll appear. Finally, I look towards the sea spring. That stillness hides something deeper, something wrong. Hey. I spin around and come face to face with a pack of soulless. They chitter and growl, tendrils and spikes flaring threateningly, all different sizes and species, but sharing one identical trait, glowing crimson eyes. I try to back away, but my heel teeters over the sea spring. I'm cornered. Watch your step, it's deeper than it looks. That voice again. At the sound of it, the soulless freeze, their snarls quieting. I search for the voice's source and find it above me, lounging in the rafters. Yeah, this is the poster guy. Oh my god. You look lost, little sparrow. His gaze is a violent crimson, one that sears through me, leaves me feeling raw and exposed. They're the same eyes I've seen over and over, first with the scarred woman, now with the soulless encircling me, all bound by the sea spring's blood red. In the shroud of darkness behind him, shapes like massive tentacles twist and coil around the wooden beams. I can't focus. The soulless growls ring in my ears. They're not advancing, but that could change at any second. Panic rises in my throat as I struggle to track them. Hey. Eyes on me. My stomach rolls as I turn my eyes away from the soulless. Don't ignore someone who's talking to you. It's not polite. For a moment, anger knocks my fear aside. Who is this bastard? I'm gonna say fuck you. I look right into his unnerving eyes, holding his gaze defiantly. Fuck you. Is that better? I knew it would make him... I knew. A crooked grin cracks across his face. We'll work on it. I like that they gave him a name, bastard. I scan the soulless again. They really aren't attacking, posturing more than anything else, almost as if they're waiting for commands. Did you tame them? Power of the sea spring. They're hungry, so they might bite. You could give me a reason to stop them. How about I didn't do anything wrong? Trespassing. And that's punishable by death? He gives a non-committal shrug. Expecting mercy was your first mistake. My voice stops in my throat. This man's terse coolness is both infuriating and terrifying. I rack my brain for a way to diffuse the situation. I'm not gonna beg him for help. Tell me what you want. I'm not in the mood for guessing games. Your hands. Alarm jolts through me. I hide my hands under my cloak. Show me. Why? Won't ask twice. With a sharp huff, I reluctantly hold out my bandaged hands. Are you getting off on this? Unwrap them. Heat rushes to my face and fire to my tongue. I should give him a piece of my mind, but not when his soulless are one command from ripping me to shreds. Yet no matter how much I will myself to move, my body is frozen in place. I stand there for a long, agonizing minute. My hands are trembling when I finally raise them. I know the skin beneath the wrappings all too well, the hideous, unnatural flesh I've grown to despise. I grip the edge of the bandages. Stop. With a weary sigh, the man slides off the beam and lands with a thud that shakes the panels underfoot. He's a monster, with an imposing figure that towers over me. I couldn't tell how tall he was before, but he's big. Illuminated by lantern light, his features are stronger, sharper. It's like a Oni. Subtle clinks of metal accompany each of his footsteps. The closer he gets to me, the faster my heart hitches. What does he want? Is he going to kill me? I step backwards and find nothing to set my foot on. I'd forgotten my back was to the sea spring. I fall right before a warm hand catches my lower back. I'm hovering above the sea spring, the scent of smoke and leather enveloping me. Blazing crimson eyes bore into mine. Told you to watch your step. I'm too stunned to muster a response. Like I weigh nothing, he guides me back to solid ground and steps back. Following a subtle gesture from his fingers, the soulless around us disperse and relax. The shift in their demeanor is so abrupt it gives me whiplash. The enormous tentacles are no longer in the rafters, though now I doubt I ever saw them at all. Either way, I exhale a breath of relief. Thanks. As focused on me as he was before, the monster pays no attention to me now. He kicks some seating pillows out of the walkways, checks the contents of the kettle with a scowl. The sudden disregard is almost insulting. So that's it? I'm not a threat anymore. Never were one. Then why'd you threaten me? People get honest when they're afraid. In other words, he was messing with me. I drag a hand over my face, exhausted by the fact that this is the second time a monster has provoked me today. Your eyes, aren't you? Depends who's asking. One of your friends told me this was your territory. She also said you were a gang leader. But there's no one else here. I thought there'd be more people. Ice picks up the kettle and walks towards the edge of Sea Spring, then dumps out the contents into the endless red. Gang took a walk. His pleasant smile stretches across his face, ear to ear. Then, in an instant, it drops. I get the sense that I shouldn't ask about his gang again. Something must have happened. I've learned to recognize a real leader when I see one. Ice, regrettably, fits the type perfectly. He knows how to scare people and he expects submission, but it's uncommon for someone so used to being in power to be so alone. What do you need the Sea Spring's power for? Depends. Can it cure a curse? Probably. You mean you don't know? Nope. He shakes out the empty kettle and starts collecting stray cups, tidying up. My frustration builds. I narrow my eyes at him in a questioning glare. When he notices, he returns it with an amused smirk. Are you being irritating on purpose? Listen, Sparrow. The sea spring can cure anything. Nothing's stopping you from trying it yourself. What do I have to do? Drink. I have to drink from the sea spring. My eyes glide to the blood-like pool beside us. The idea of ingesting the strange liquid makes my guts churn. Is there a price? Always. Ice taps his temple with a finger. You lose it a little bit. That's it. I have already beaten it to the punch. My humor earns me an amused, fanged grin. This is a little different. When you drink from the sea spring, you forget who you are. Your mind combines with everyone who ever drank it before. Humans, monsters, soulless, one big, happy family in your head. My blood runs cold. I've heard of these before. Group minds. I thought they were just rumors. I've heard whispers of cults performing rituals to bind their members' minds together. It never seemed possible. But something tells me this is real, even if one thing doesn't add up. Your eyes are red too, but you obviously haven't forgotten who you are. Before I can finish my sentence, Ice strides past me towards the entrance. Time's up. Let's finish this later. Wait, already? You barely told me anything. I'm on a bad day. I got somewhere to be. There are still so many questions burning on the tip of my tongue, but my frustration spills out before any of them. I was told to come here for help, but instead I get threatened and kicked out. You're joking, right? Watch your tone. I'm nice, but you don't want to ruin the host's mood. My skin prickles. The feeling of being watched washes over me again. My eyes dart back over to the sea spring. A lone ripple dances on the quiet surface. I take I's advice and clamp my mouth shut. Ice approaches a nearby soulless, a lanky dog-like one with 6 legs and a crown of tendrils. Several sets of crimson eyes adorn its sides. Its forked tail wags rapidly when Ice squats beside it. He runs his fingers through the tendrils, scratches its chin, and pats its head. A gentle smile plays across I's lips. Ice's lips. The affection he holds for the soulless is painfully clear. I dip my eyes away, my stomach fluttering at the tender sight. It's getting dark out, so this pretty girl will guide you back. Following a short whistle from I's lips, it trots over to the entrance obediently, tail swaying. I watch the soulless warily. Pretty is not a word I would use to describe it, and the idea of it protecting me sounds absurd. If I decide to drink, how should I find you? Find someone with eyes like mine. They'll point you in the right direction. But think it over. Once you drink, you can't go back. It's a lot to process, but I give a small nod. At least I know I have another option for a cure, as disturbing as it may be. I follow the soulless at a measured distance and watch it nudge the giant doors open with ease. When I'm about to cross the threshold, I sneak one last glance behind me. My heart skips when I meet Ice's eyes. I'm about to snap my head away, but he just flashes me an easy smile. Till next time, Sparrow, I'll buy you a drink for scaring you. I don't trust myself to do anything but respond with another curt nod. We've kind of met all the love interests, I think. With just that one who was outside of the tower. We haven't interacted with them yet. Outside, more crimson-eyed soulless scuttle about. It's hard to believe it's the same threatening pack from before. They chase each other in circles, roll around in the bog's mud. They pay no attention to me, as the dog-like one escorts me away. It's an uneventful trip. Sometimes the soulless looks over its shoulder at me to make sure I'm still following. Dusk darkens the sky by the time we reach the city. The soulless sits and looks at me expectantly with familiar crimson eyes. I'm absolutely gonna pet the dog. Are you kidding me? As nervous as I am, I carefully glide my fingers through the soulless's tendrils and scratch beneath its chin, just like Ice had. It pushes into my palm in response, rumbling with a sound akin to a purr. The vibrations are soothing, almost healing my fatigue. When it's satisfied, the soulless spins around and scampers back in the direction we came, vanishing into the darkness. It's barely my first day in Iridia, and I've already encountered so many things I thought were impossible, tamed soulless being one of them. My head spins. Maybe I should call it a day. Oh god, is this the end of the... No, it's not the end of the demo. How long has this been? Almost an hour and a half. Ooh. Nightfall creeps across the streets of Iridia. The city labyrinthian, right? Labyrinthian. I don't know. Some words that you just don't fucking use or read. Even in daytime has become a warren of treacherous alleyways. Labyrinthine? English is weird when you think about it. The streets are completely deserted. If I hadn't been here earlier, I would have thought this part of the city abandoned. I make my way through the winding streets, doing my best to keep my bearing towards the wet wick. My steps slow when I hear rustling in the dark. I strain my ears, but everything is still. Is the silence playing tricks on me? Nah, something's wrong. Something's always wrong. The fine hairs on the back of my neck prickle, a frisson of discomfort running down my spine. Something is wrong. My eyes dart from one side of the street to the other, searching for movement, but the shadows are as deep and dark as pools of ink, and I see nothing. I can't stay here. I need to reach a busier part of the city. Drawing my cloak tighter around my body, I hurry on my way. Though I keep my eyes sharp and listen intently, there's only the sound of my own footsteps. As the moments pass and nothing happens, I begin to wonder. Maybe I really did imagine that noise? Here? No. I turn the next corner and my thoughts come screeching to a halt. My head spins, the world blurring as adrenaline rushes through my veins. Only one thing is clear amidst the haze. The soulless that attacked the caravan. It's crouched over a dark, indistinct shape. A body. A garland of intestines spills from pallid flesh. Blood grouts the cobblestones. For a mercy, the soulless is too distracted by its meal to have noticed me. My feet feel as heavy as stones, but I can't just stand here. Holding my breath, I take a step backwards. When the wet slurping sounds don't abate, I take another, then another. Then a shard of glass crunches under my heel. The world seems to slow to a crawl as the soulless raises its head, blood dripping from its tendrils. Every single one of its bulging eyes fix unblinkingly on me. It's really here. It's come back for me. Run. Don't need anything. Don't need to save there. I'm off like a shot, running for my life through the darkened streets. Behind me, a piercing bay splits the silence and heavy footfalls pound after me. My heart thunders in my chest. I take turns at random, trying to lose it in the maze of streets, but I can't seem to shake it. I can hear its breathing now, a wet, fluttering rasp, growing closer and closer. The same claws that severed my arm swipe out. I ducked, saved by pure reflex, and skid around a corner. I take 3 running strides before the bottom drops out of my stomach. A wall twice as high as me bars my way, a dead end. When I turn around, the soulless looms in the entry to the alley. It's no longer running. It doesn't have to. As it prowls closer, my thoughts race. Some of the buildings lining the streets are lit. There must be people inside. It's a long shot, but... I'm just gonna try a door. I whirl, grabbing at the handle of the closest door. It turns completely, the hinges creaking as I push, and I feel a flash of hope before a weight hits the door from the other side and it slams shut, and no one would help me if I screamed out. The click of the lock turning is grimly final. In this wretched world, few people will stick their neck out to help their own flesh and blood, never mind a stranger. The soulless gives a rasping hiss. It's the only warning I get before it lunges for me with a flash of claws. I hurl myself to the side, but the slick cobblestones betray me. I fall, sprawling over the rough stone. As the soulless looms over me, I scramble away from it until my back hits the wall. There's nowhere left to go. It descends on me for the kill. And I die. Okay. But the impact never comes. Oh, we're gonna meet the white-haired person. Okay. I warily crack one eye open, then the other, not sure whether I should believe what I'm seeing. A hooded figure crouches in front of me, one blood-stained hand outstretched. I'm a sucker for characters with white hair, in general. But with red eyes. White hair and red eyes. And there's red in there. Moonlight silvers the edge of their stiletto knife. Their face and hands are splattered with blood, and the soulless. My eyes dart past my unexpected rescuer to the misshapen form behind them. The soulless's many eyes, once restless and vibrant, now look dull and waxy. A red pool spreads slowly from under its body. Numb with shock, I can't help but stare. It's dead. After all the people it's killed, after nearly killing me twice, I can hardly believe it. Well? I gingerly take the offered hand. The stranger's gaze dips to my bandages. Pale lips part on the brink of a question, then close again. With a strength belying their slight frame, they pull me to my feet. As soon as I'm on my own 2 feet again, they pull away from me and start wiping the blood from their face and hands. Stay there. They turn away from me stiffly, leaning over the soulless's gangly body. With their back towards me, I realize that I saw their hooded silhouette at the cenobium. You're shorter than I thought. You saved me. I shouldn't have had to. Oh no, it's the mean type. Go away. Their harsh response takes me aback. Before I can formulate a response, they continue. What are you thinking, traveling alone at night? This is far from the worst thing haunting Lowtown. I can't make heads or tail of them. First they save me, and now they scold me? Lesson learned? I could do without the lecture, though. To my surprise, they break eye contact. Their attention glides back to the soulless's corpse. They examine it with an inscrutable expression. I clear my throat to fill the silence. I'm Valkii. Min? Min? Min. Suddenly, Min tenses. Their blade flashes as they drive it into the back of the soulless's neck. The soulless thrashes once, letting out a rattling hiss as the air leaves its lungs. Min leans on the blade, driving it deeper and deeper until there's a sickening crunch and the creature goes limp. My heart thuds in my chest. It must have been clinging to life by a thread. Min straightens up, withdrawing their blade in a single smooth motion. Better to put wretched things like this out of their misery. They calmly clean the blood from their knife. That swift, unhesitating, lethal strike wasn't the work of an amateur. But they don't act like any of the cold-blooded killers I've seen in the past. Why is a soulless inside the city? Min looks at me, eyes searching before realization dawns. You're new here. There's no walls around the city. Soulless can come and go as they please until someone is contracted to stop them. The cenobium's patrols don't bother to protect Lowtown. Not anymore. Let me guess, you're not a fan of the cenobium. I wouldn't go that far. Their brow abruptly furrows, and they sheath their knife, motioning for me to follow them. It's not safe here. The vultures can smell death. I'm not quite sure what they mean, but I don't want to stay lost in the city. I trail behind them as they stride down the street. If it's so dangerous, then why are you helping me? I came for the bounty on that soulless, and you were in the way. Not killing you isn't the same as helping you. Don't count on being so lucky again, or you'll be dead by sunrise. Their answer is stingingly harsh. You know what? Fine. Fed up, I don't bother holding back anymore. Fine. I don't know why you dive in out of nowhere to kill some dangerous soulless, then be rude to the person you helped, but go right ahead. Min blinks, staring at me like my head just spun around on my neck. They open their mouth, then close it, looking uncertain. I forge onward, gathering steam. How was I supposed to know there'd be dangerous soulless hunting in the streets? You don't have to be an asshole about it. I feel like I'm choosing all the right options. You're not as spineless as you look. Valkii? Who is it? Oh, it's Kudas. I turn surprised by the voice. Kudas walks down the street towards us. His white and gold clothing is pristine despite the grime of the city. Hello, Min. I see that soulless was your work. Min shrugs. There's a familiarity to the way they regard each other. You know them, Kudas? Min is a freelancer who's done a few errands for me. They are quite reliable. Unreliable freelancers don't eat. There's something Kudas isn't saying here. Valkii needs to get back to wherever she's staying before she wanders into the jaws of another soulless. It is late. Were you able to find a place to stay, Valkii? I'm staying at the Wetwick. Both their faces fall. I see. Would you like a guide? It might be preferable to wandering about alleyways. That would be nice. Min clicks their tongue and sighs, sounding mightily put out. Going to the Amaryllis district? That gaudy cesspit? Come, this way. Despite Min's clear distaste, when Kudas leads me down the street, they keep pace with us. Catching my curious glance, Min's eyes narrow. It's not safe this late. I don't care about you, but Kudas is the only doctor worth a damn in this place. Are you like this with everyone? The deadpan look Min gives me is answer enough. I catch Kudas hiding a slight smile. I suppress a sigh and resign myself to having a grumpy shadow all the way back to the wet wick. The route Kudas takes is completely different from my slow meandering earlier in the morning. In no time at all, he cuts through darkened streets and twisting alleys. It seems like half the city has poured into the Amaryllis district's colourful streets. Laughter, clinking glasses, and music assault my ears from every direction. Yet, the most noise still comes from the wet wick. Its doors hang wide open, lanterns lit. Here we are. He moves towards the door and Min lets out an audible huff. Don't tell me you're going in. I have some quick business with Leander. Ugh, fine. He still owes me for yesterday's work. They drag their feet, reluctantly trailing me into the tavern.